This is the WJTS News. In tonight's news, Mother Nature blanketed the WJTS TV viewing area with 4 to 6 inches of snow as we welcomed the first day of spring. A Huntingburg man is charged with 35 counts of fraud and check deception. And Purdue Extension appoints 2 new members to its advisory board at its annual meeting. In sports, Kurt Guxell talks with a Forest Park Lady Ranger who signs a collegiate letter of intent. And Tony Beekler invites you to the upcoming fish fry and shooting match in Celestine for the Knights of Columbus on 18 WJTS Inform. Good evening, I'm Bill Potter with the news. Well, spring may have sprung according to the calendar on Tuesday, but someone forgot to tell that to Mother Nature. Residents throughout southern Indiana were the recipients of an early spring snow event. Precipitation that started out mostly as light rain and drizzle around noon on Tuesday began to switch over to light to moderate snowfall as temperatures began to fall somewhat during the mid to late afternoon hours. The National Weather Service in Louisville even issued a winter weather advisory. As far as local roads and highways were concerned, snow for the most part did and has continued to melt, leaving roadways just mostly wet and perhaps some slush covered in some areas or bridges. A few schools closed, some ran on a 2-hour delay, and some ran on a normal schedule. Local dispatch says little, if any, accidents or slide-offs occurred. Well, this may be the last snow of spring, maybe not. Stay tuned. In weather later this newscast, snow is a possibility on Saturday. And like today or a few Sundays ago, you may remember, who knows how much snow we'll actually get. A northern Indiana man was injured and charges are pending an investigation after a one-vehicle accident late Tuesday morning between Jasper and Hayesville, in which the driver of the box truck involved was thrown from the vehicle. The Dubois County Sheriff's Department says just after 11 a.m. yesterday, an Isuzu single-unit truck driven by 46-year-old John Hoover of West Lafayette was headed south along U.S. Highway 231 about 500 feet north of County Road 400 North when he told authorities he looked down from the roadway, causing his vehicle to go off the west side of 231, striking a guardrail face. Deputies say Hoover overcorrected his steering and his truck traveled across the roadway's center line, then went off to the east side of the highway, striking another guardrail before going over the east guard and down a ditch embankment, coming to a final rest facing east. Deputies say Hoover was ejected from the vehicle at one point and was conscious, alert, and standing with a head injury when authorities arrived at the scene. Hoover suffered lacerations to his head. He was taken by ambulance to Memorial Hospital in Jasper, where he was treated for his injuries. The Sheriff's Department says the accident that closed US 231, closed it for about 45 minutes, is still under investigation and that charges are pending. The Isuzu box truck sustained between $15,000 and $20,000 in damages. The Dubois County Sheriff's Department was assisted at the scene by first responders with the Hayesville Volunteer Fire Department and Memorial Hospital Emergency Medical Services. As many as 35 total counts, including fraud and check deception, have been levied against a man authorities allege passed multiple amounts of bogus checks in Ohio and Indiana, including the Dubois County area. Back in January, Huntingburg police received a complaint from the manager of the Huntingburg IGA store that the grocery business had received multiple bad checks that were cashed on a business account. Officer Andrew Hammock received the complaint and initiated an investigation that was eventually turned over to Huntingburg Detective Sergeant Tyler Stivers. Huntingburg police say an investigator with Houchins, the parent company of IGA, provided Stivers with enough evidence to show that 32 fraudulent checks totaling $13,257 were cashed at the Huntingburg IGA. Detective Stivers found that 42-year-old Mark Schroy of Huntingburg had opened a legitimate business checking account with Old National Bank under the business name of Arc Angle Welding LLC. Police say, however, Schroy only deposited the initial minimum amount required to open the account and began cashing multiple amounts of checks. As a result, police say the account was closed due to non-sufficient funds. Further investigation by authorities revealed Schroy continued to cash more fraudulent checks from the account at various locations across Indiana and Ohio, totaling over $24,000. Detective Brock Werney with the Indiana State Police Jasper Post was asked to assist with the investigation, and an arrest warrant was obtained through the Dubois County Circuit Court. Police say Schroy made contact with Trooper Connor Giesler with ISP on Tuesday in order to turn himself into authorities. Schroy met with Detective Sergeant Stivers with the Huntingburg Police and was taken into custody without incident. Schroy was taken to and booked into the Dubois County Security Center in Jasper on a Level 5 felony count of fraud on a financial institution, 2 Level 6 felony counts of check fraud and theft, a misdemeanor count of theft, and 29 misdemeanor counts of check deception. Police say their investigation is still ongoing and encourage anyone with information to contact the Huntingburg Police Department or the Jasper Post of the Indiana State Police. A Pike County mother has been cited for not following a law that aims to save young people's lives. On Saturday, 6 teenage boys were thrown from 2 off-road vehicles in Pike County, as we reported. None of the teens were wearing helmets. Conservation officers with the Indiana Department of Natural Resources say what's more concerning in this case is helmets were available where the teens were riding. The helmet law, better known as the Play for Kate bill, has been in effect since last July. While some continue to ignore it, Indiana DNR officials say most are complying and there is public buy-in. This year, conservation officers have issued 11 citations and just over 40 warnings. Conservation officers say with as many ATVs as there are, the numbers are not out of the ordinary. The law requires ATV riders under the age of 18 to wear a helmet. 2 of the 6 teens involved in the Saturday's accident sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Now, in March of 2017, Caleb Poline died after losing control of an ATV on a gravel road in Pike County. He, too, was not wearing a helmet. Conservation officers say whether one receives a warning or a citation is left up to an investigating officer. The mother cited in this case will have to go to court in order to resolve the issue. So please keep that in mind as your kids are out riding ATVs. The town of Gentryville is taking the first step toward putting its community crossings grant to work in the community. Town board members recently voted to establish a local roads and bridges matching grant fund to handle monies awarded through the grant program and the town's local match during the course of its road projects. With that procedural hurdle completed, repair work on sections of town roads across the community can begin in earnest as soon as winter is finally left the area and left it behind and the construction season begins. Gentryville was awarded over $76,000 for a number of repaving projects across the community last year. Back in November, the board opened the construction bids and were pleasantly surprised to find that the cost came in below initial estimates. The low construction costs, coupled with the grant funds, have put the council's goal to repave many local roads and streets within reach, and no issues are expected with satisfying its local match requirement. The terms of the grant necessitate that these funds be allocated through a local roads and bridges matching grant fund. So with that ordinance now on the books in Gentryville, all appears to be set for the coming construction season. Gentryville town leaders are still looking into other grant opportunities that could provide resources for the resurfacing of sidewalks in the community as well. And in the neighboring community of Crisney, that town council is making preparations for repaving. The planned repaving of 15 roads and streets as well as sidewalks in town is currently waiting out the last few formalities. Another goal, improving and upgrading the Crisney community's water system, is still a ways off, but nearer now. Both ambitions are part of the grants programs, and the council has been keen on pursuing those opportunities whenever possible. Crisney Clerk Treasurer Kim Litkenhuis reported the town's funds from the state's Community Crossings Grant Program, which was awarded more than $139,000 to the town last year, should be received by the end of the month. Once deposited, the work on the projects can begin. Governor Eric Holcomb joined Washington Mayor Joe Wellman and other local leaders in cutting the ribbon on a new manufacturing center Tuesday in Daviess County. Japan-based M&C Tech Indiana is an automobile parts manufacturer. The facility is located near I-69 and US 5150 in Washington. In 2016, M&C Tech Indiana announced plans to invest $4.6 million to build the 40,000 square foot factory. The facility will produce plastic automotive components, including extrusion, molding, and light assembly of sunroof and door parts. The new plant will create up to 70 jobs by the year 2021. And another story out of Washington, the Washington Beta Zeta chapter of Kappa 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 is now accepting scholarship applications from area high school seniors. 2 students will be awarded $750 scholarships at their high school senior awards night. The applications may be picked up at the guidance counselor's offices during school hours. The application deadline is set for April 16, 2018 at noon and should be delivered to the guidance counselor's office. The local scholarships are awarded each year to seniors based on academics, leadership, and financial need. The recipients cannot be related to a member of the Washington Tri Kappa sorority. Students who are eligible include all high school seniors in Daviess County who having committed to continue their education beyond high school. Criteria used by the Tri Kappa Selection Committee are academic achievement, strong goals, extracurricular activities, work experience, and volunteer service. Students wishing to apply for these scholarships are encouraged to contact their high school guidance counselor or Angie Steiner at 812-486-9731, 812-486-9731. This past Saturday morning, a group of citizens gathered in the community room of Jasper High School for the annual meeting of Purdue Extension of DuBois County. The group was provided with a brief history lesson about the program's start and value. Purdue Extension in DuBois County is advised by a council which is made up of local citizens. Forest Park High School principal Dr. Jamie Pund and Ryan Grammer of Grain Processing Company were nominated and appointed to the group's board of directors on Saturday. Current board chairman Dan Cullion talks of the duties they are assigned.
We advise the 4 educators in the county, which would be agricultural and natural resource educators, health and human science educators, youth educators, and wellness educators on the needs that the county has and the citizens of the county so they can do their jobs better as far as bringing programming and educational services to the citizens.
Purdue Extension of DuBois County makes an impact that is felt county-wide. DuBois County Commissioner Chad Blessinger gives us his take on the Extension service.
Well, as a commissioner, I didn't know the whole history. I didn't know the breadth and depth of everything that the Extension Office did, so that's why I was here today, to get a little better history and understanding of what they do. What I know of the Extension is that we have a very good rural community, strong rural background, and that's what the main focus I always thought was of the Purdue Extension: help people live better, grow better crops, have a healthy life. Just general things that make life worth living and profitable for DuBois County. And with the Purdue Extension, they do things that work with the youth, that work with farmers, that work with industry. They have a very wide variety of things that they work on, and it's very valuable to a number of people of our community.
You can become involved in Purdue Extension by volunteering with many 4-H programs, joining an Extension club in your area, attending a workshop or program presented by Extension, or simply calling their office with a question about canning those green beans that will be so abundant from your garden this year. Now please stay tuned. Weather, sports, and Inform featuring Tony Beekler inviting you to the St. Isidore Fish Fry and Shooting Match in Celestine this Friday are still to come on 18 WJTS News.